All right, we're live again. Good to see you guys. Let me know if any of the audio isn't working quite right. I think we're doing pretty well here, but we're gonna find out. I'm gonna turn on the volume real quick here, make sure everything's going well on that side as I always do. But as people start to trickle in here, I'll probably know a little bit better from you guys. So if everybody's doing good, we're down here. It's our last week in Merida, Mexico, and it's been a crazy trip. It's been really fun. We got a little bit busy this past week. We had my niece and her boyfriend down, and then my family, and then after that, it was my wife's mother and her stepdad, and some friends of ours that we knew from a neighborhood that we lived at about 5 years ago that we've stayed in touch with all this time, and it's been fantastic. So, but you have two crews and that kind of thing, and just trying to make sure everybody's happy and that. But they're super easy to hang around, easy people to be with. So it's been a pretty good time, pretty fun. But hope you guys are doing good. As you guys come in, let me know if you have any questions. I'm just gonna kind of sit on here and chill out and kind of go through what we've experienced, go through some of the stuff that we are dealing with our piece of property down here, some of the things that we've adjusted, and so on and so forth. And yeah, it's been like I said, it's been really fun. Just kind of crazy to be honest with you. So let me see here real quick. Go to my channel. Make sure that everything's sounding good. Does seem like the volume is a little interesting. So I might be coming off a little bit quiet here. Apologies for that. It's using a different. It's using a different microphone last time, and it seems to be affecting that a little bit. But that's all right. Microphone last time, and it seems to be affecting that a little bit. But that's all right. So, kind of catch you up on everything that's been going on. So, for those of you who saw the two videos that I made while I'm down here, just the first 48 hours in Merida, and then the video with regard to our home, it's been pretty fun. We've actually gotten to go over to the house about 3 times. We met with our architect Henry Ponce, who went through several houses, including his own, and just showed us some of the materials that were used, some of the ideas that they have, and it was really nice to see just everything in person rather than just conceptually. And the first place that we saw was absolutely amazing. It was behind, it was kind of at the very end of this neighborhood. It looked like a small house from the entrance, but there were actually two. One was a garage and one was the one that we went through initially. And it was literally at the end of a cul-de-sac. The door led into the pool, and then it was the main house and the other. And you can tell that the house that they had before was simply it was a smaller place. You know, it wasn't very impressive from the outside. When you walked inside, the ceilings were low. But for the most part, it was in good shape. And that was a, but I should say, but for the most part, there were things about the property that weren't necessarily what you would like. But what he was able to do was remove walls, as is normal in some of these houses, especially when you don't get into the historic districts. And while he wasn't able to raise ceilings because the cost would have been prohibitive, he was able to remove one area that allowed it to have kind of a two-story dining room. And because of that, he was able to add windows, which then blew everything up and made it look fantastic. So that was a pretty neat little deal to be able to see just how much you could do with a space that wasn't necessarily built the way that you want to be built from the original process. On top of that, just some of the stuff that he did with the upstairs bedrooms, a lot of greenery there, a lot of open air, but still built in a way to make it private was absolutely amazing. And you can see some of that in our design. Fortunately for the design that they had there, it played well to have a pool in the middle of one home, and then they also had kind of a almost a master bedroom complex similar to what we're looking at on the other side, and that was just above the garage. So really interesting concept. But the materials that were made, some of the furniture that was made here and that they picked out, was very very similar to what we're looking to do, and that made it pretty fun to watch. So yeah, pretty neat stuff. Then as we went on to the second property, it was a little bit more. I don't want to say it was what we're looking at, but it was more the kind of historic look. It was built probably around the same time. The facade was very similar, but when you got past the entrance, it was obviously very differently set up. The lot didn't go back as far, so what they ended up doing was something really cool, which is they just went vertical. So the very front of the house was the traditional historic stuff that you can't touch, but the huge ceilings. They redid the kitchen; it looks beautiful. The dining room, kind of a media room. It was similar to the Airbnb that we're staying at here, where there were four main rooms. They had an entry, and then, like I said, media room, dining room. Everything was, very, very. I don't want to say original. Everything was obviously updated, but you could see the original notes in the process. The kitchen was completely renovated. I mean, obviously, amazing appliances, and then again, similar to our layout, it really kind of took on the utilize the back windows to make sure that it feels as open as possible. Now, one neat thing about this particular property was that it had two giant palm trees in the back. And when I say giant, I mean 50, 60 feet easy. And they were able to keep those palm trees on the property while building. And then they just kind of built around it. So when you looked up, you saw these amazing, amazing palm trees. Now, a word of warning, if you do have some of those beautiful palm trees, one thing you might want to think about is the amount of maintenance that is required with them. We noticed even there, where they clean it at least once a week, it may have needed 2 or 3 cleanings a week because of the amount of stuff that comes off of the trees, and that was just kind of nice for us to see for our benefit in maintenance. But like I said, they built it vertically. So once you got past the main structure that they couldn't touch, then you got to the pool, and then you looked up, and there were 2 stories of bedrooms on one side. And I think I posted a few. If you follow me at Instagram at Alexander from KC, you'll see some of those pictures. But it was really neat to see the vertical stacking of the bedrooms, and the bedroom on the main level, which was the master, actually had doors that are going to be similar to ours, where you push the sliders back into the wall. And from the master bedroom, while you had complete privacy, in the house, you could kind of see the kitchen. You could lay in your bed and have just a full view of the pool, or you could have it completely open as well. So kind of a neat little thing. The upstairs didn't have those, but they had, nice foldable windows and great, spectacular views of the pool and kind of over that. But then once you went to the last floor, it was honestly really, really amazing, because even though we were in the heat of the day, and you'd probably only use this unless you put a palapa up for nighttime entertainment, didn't sound right, but you use it for nighttime entertainment. But the neat thing was they'd actually kind of built out of concrete a really nice area where you could take cushions and that kind of thing, and they had benches and tables and that kind of thing, so you could actually have almost a party up there and entertain as many people as you wanted to. At night, it would be absolutely fantastic. The views up there were beautiful. I mean, you're 3 stories up in the air. The palm trees still were far taller than you, but you had some really incredible views. And I've got to imagine that there are some parties that have been had from the people that rent that property. So pretty cool watching. Really interesting to kind of see that kind of construction. Again, a little bit more similar to us. Some of the wood choices were different, more similar wood choices to ours were in the first house, but a nice little mix of eclectic style. The last place that we saw when we did the tour outside of Henry's design studio was Henry's house himself, and that place was absolutely amazing. And by the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please feel free to like the video. That helps it kind of grow and get a few more people on here too. But really appreciate it. But getting back to it, we've got to see Henry's house, and I've got to say it was absolutely amazing. First of all, the guy chose the location beautifully, because it's right around the corner from his office and design studio. So he has a walk to work, a drive to work, a bike ride to work. It really doesn't matter. He just has an awesome, awesome opportunity to be very, very close to work and not feel stressful to try to get across the city. And I think personally, we can all appreciate that traffic can be a bit unfortunate anywhere in the world, let alone here. So very good on him. So getting past the front door in the location, let me take a drink real quick. It was super neat. Hey, Tim, thanks, buddy. Thanks for coming on again. Appreciate it, man. Good to see you. But getting past the front door was interesting because, one, there were water features all over the place. It's just a beautiful little water feature in the beginning. You go through the front entrance, go to a pretty good sized garage. And then his house, he basically said that he thought that the home was probably designed by an engineer because there were walls everywhere, but it wasn't really built as for an architect or a designer where the views from everything were considered. And he really did a fantastic job building this house because he basically opened up the entire first level. So when you walk in the front door, you can kind of see everything. And I don't want to say it's a huge, huge space, but it's a very good sized space. But I think it feels even bigger because everything is floor to ceiling windows, everything is, opened up to the outside, and every room, while it still feels private at times, still opens up to everything else in the house. So the kitchen has a little bit of an angle to the living room, but they all kind of see the pool and the outside and the beautiful plants and that kind of thing that they've done. So again, it kind of continues to get through to this that in Merida, even if you have a beautiful facade, it really is what is behind the facade that means so much. And it continues to be like that to me because, again, when we saw our house for the first time, I thought, well, this is a good house and that's nice. But once we opened the door and we actually saw the layout and how much room it had, I couldn't believe it from just the front entrance. His is no different. And while it is an amazing front entrance and he's designed it very well, what is behind it is far, far, far more impressive. When you got up to the bedroom level, which was the second level, a nice patio, had everything kind of as you would down here. You had everything kind of planned out so that if the sun were going overhead or something like that, it was blocked a little bit. You weren't really getting the heat of the sun all day long. If you wanted to step outside, there was a nice covered area, and that covered area connected kind of the hallway to the master bedroom, and there was even still some privacy there as well. And there were a couple of others, TV room, a couple of bedrooms. I mean, absolutely beautiful spaces. And again, taking advantage of the idea that if you have something that is open to the outside, it's going to make a room feel bigger. He doesn't have, even in his home, he doesn't have the, 16-foot ceilings that some of the older construction homes do down here. But because it's so open to the outside and because he's utilized those windows so well, it's really made it feel bigger. So if I'm somebody sitting there and saying, hey, I'm really looking at some of these, I really want to renovate a house, but I don't like the fact that I don't get the traditional ceilings. What I would tell you is if you find the right house in the right location and you're just dealing with ceiling height, which is honestly something that we dealt with a little bit, ours are tall, but not the really tall version that you get in some houses down here. If you get to that point, I would say make sure you find a good architect because they're going to be able to get past those negatives and turn them into positives. And again, one of the best architects down here, if not the best architect down here, has a home without tall ceilings, but because of the way that he's designed everything, it feels way, way bigger than what you would expect. So that was the tour. Then we went into his design studio and met a few of the people that were working on it, saw the kind of the final of a few things, and then sent us a bunch of information to kind of work through and do some homework on to make sure that we were choosing the right furniture and the right things for the home. We will probably be back down. My assumption is late, probably sometime in October or November, to actually pick out the furniture, kind of make the final choices and order all of that stuff so that it can get made. And when we actually purchase the home, it will then be right there ready for us. So it was a really cool day, a really fun time. And then, as I said earlier, for those of you who maybe I can get this to be a little bit better for me there. I think that's going to work. I'm noticing that my voice is a little low on this. It's showing up fine here, but I think it's a little low on your end, maybe. So apologies for that. But let me mess with this just a bit here. I don't know if that'll do anything, but hopefully it will. Anyway, so let's see. As all of you know who watched the video, we were actually able to go to the home to see the construction. And I've got to say that just in the not even 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks that we've been here, because we leave on Thursday, and that was that was complete 3 weeks, so that will be a complete 3 weeks. When we saw the house the first time, they had done so much demolition that I couldn't believe it. I thought they were actually keeping more of the home than they did, but they ended up, because they're going to build a structure on top of it, they got rid of everything that was going to go on top of that, and then they're reinforcing some other areas. So that was a really interesting thing to look out and actually open the door and see more destruction than I ever thought that there was going to be outside of some of the pictures that they've sent. You don't really know until you're there. But even more interesting than that was they had already poured the the master bedroom, which, as you guys know who've watched the videos, the master bedroom is in the very, very back of the property. It's kind of its own little individual cell, its own individual unit. And they poured it. So we actually got to see the size of it. And I've been on enough construction sites where I understand that even if you see the whole, you see the structure of it, you're not going to really understand the size of the building. So I didn't take my perception of that to heart because it looked a little smaller than I was assuming. But I don't think it's going to be by the time it's all said and done. The room is feels big. There's definitely enough room for all kinds of furniture, as much as we can fit in there. But it was a really good size, but it was really nice to see, okay, this is going to be the extent of our property, and here's how far back it goes. And more importantly, here's what we have between here's what we have as outside space. So the pool space and the garden space. And that was one thing I was really encouraged by because it was absolutely bigger than I had anticipated. The pool looks like it's going to be a fantastic size. And even on the video, it doesn't really capture the true size of the property, which is nice. But we got to run everybody through between, my niece and her boyfriend, my parents, my wife's parents, and our friends. The last trip was a little bit rushed because they had a lot of workers there that were doing some plumbing. I didn't want to get in their way. But we really got to see, here's where this is going to go, here's where this is going to go, here is where this is going to go, if I can talk. And it was nice to be able to kind of look at that and just say, this is going to be home. And by the next time we come down here, if it is in October, November, based on what they've already done, I can't even imagine how much they're going to have ready for us to look at. So it was really, really fun. I would absolutely encourage people, and I'll say this and then I'll go back to why. If you have the opportunity, if you have the ability, whether it's time or money, and you're renovating a house down here, obviously the number one thing I would do is say be here the entire time that they're constructing it. But we all know that that's not necessarily the case, especially if you're planning for the future. This is going to be your home in retirement, or you're working your last year and you're trying to get this house ready so that it's done by the time you retire, whatever it might be, or the time you're ready to move, whatever it may be. It's going to be a bit difficult for some people to be down here full time, and then it's going to be a bit difficult for people to fly in and out every month to see it. My assumption is we will be down here this time, obviously, one more time, and then it will be finished. So the one more time I think is going to be really interesting because we'll get to see the structure. We'll kind of understand, a little bit more of the dimensions because they should be working on some of the, I don't want to say some of the final touches, but kind of some of the final touches, just the ones that take a lot of time. I mean, you put tile down, then you put this on the wall, then you put, the plumbing fixtures on, or run the plumbing, then you put the fixtures on at the last point. There's going to be a lot of this and that and back and forth. The interesting thing for me is going to be watching, going from here to there. And the reason that I say that all of that is important is when you are in a situation like us and we have the ability to kind of go back and forth, it's great. But especially with COVID happening, we found out that the first house that we went into that has had just a ton of stuff redone in the place. They picked out the house, they bought it, but then they were in Canada, and I believe they were a little bit older couple. So they have been in Canada and actually will come down to Merida on August 12th to see the property that they bought, and they haven't seen it since renovation started outside of pictures. And as we all know, pictures are worth 1,000 words, but actually seeing it is believing. And man, the amount of work that you could see had been done to get this finished product together was phenomenal. So these guys are going to come in having never seen anything outside of picking it out from a picture. Their furniture, the house, the appliances, everything will be completely new to them. And while that is amazing, it's also a little bit terrifying to think that that's happening. The one positive is they went with Henry Ponce, who we have trusted from the very beginning. And I think that you can I don't want to say without question, that would be wrong, but I think you definitely can. But the ability to come down here and see it, I think, puts a lot of peace up here as opposed to just coming down and praying that everything went well. So again, if you can, I would do that. I would live here if possible. I would come down multiple times if you could, and if you're willing to gamble, this couple will be very happy with the gamble that they had pay off. Tim, what'd you say? Heck yeah, you'll be able to see it. Yeah, it was right now it's kind of crazy. They have so many workers over there that, like I said, even when we came down, it was kind of crazy. I mean, I think when we went this last time, which was yesterday, they had 8 or 9 guys just in the master bedroom, or yeah, in the master space, master suite. And I don't even know how they fit that many people back there, but they had a lot of plumbing work. I mean, I don't think they're installing any electrical at this point, but kind of getting all of the pipes ran and that kind of thing, getting everything prepared for that final. It was a little, it was a little nuts, but they were doing a great job, so that was nice. Michael, what's up? You doing great? That sounds perfect. That sounds awesome. I had a lot of plans to meet some of you guys. Tim and I obviously met, and that first week was really a really kind of calm week. We did a lot of stuff, but it felt like we were in and out fairly well. Since then, I feel like everything just kind of blew up. There were a couple of things that I'll probably cover in later videos, especially the one when I, find get all of my video here and then put it all back or put it all together when I get back to the States. But we just got super busy. Things got a little crazy, and then I actually had a day where I was kind of out of it. I was sick, and I was like, I probably should limit. Not that I'm not that sick. I'm not the sick. I'm not COVID sick or anything. I just didn't really feel very well, and I was kind of like, I probably should limit myself to the amount of people that I'm seeing. So hopefully by the next time I come down, I'll be able to just hopefully get something together where some of the people or lots of people can come together and hang out and chill and actually get a space for it. So that'll be a little bit easier to kind of meet everybody. And hopefully, we're living in a different world at that point, too. Obviously, down here, they're still in orange. So masks are mandated any time that you're outside. You can take them off when you're at a table at a restaurant, but for the most part, it's mask up when you're walking around. So hopefully, in a few months, it'll get better, and then in the next year or so, it'll get way, 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 way better. We will see this as a something in the very, very distant past. But yeah, it's been an interesting trip. We've had so many different situations where we've gone from adjust my seat here real quick. That was loud. Sorry about that. We've had so many different situations where we've gone to several places multiple times or the same place but different locations and just to kind of, get people to have a really good experience down here. When we came in December, my wife and I, we didn't have the kids that time. It was just the two of us. So we were able to get out and explore a lot of different things. And that was a really fun trip. But we didn't have family. We didn't have our friends down here or anything like that. This has been a fun trip for a very different reason. And that is to really like kind of introduce this really cool city that we love that we're obviously going to live in for quite some time to the people that we care about the most. So it's been really fun to kind of see the change from staying on the beach to staying in the city and have them see why we made that decision for our home long term. But it's also been nice to kind of rediscover some of the things and even push a little bit more. My niece, we got up one morning and she basically said like, "Let's go to the zoo." And that was the only thought. I was like, "Heck yeah, let's go to the zoo." So we went to the Centenaria Zoo, one of the two. But there are two different ones that were what we were thinking about. One is a little bit outside of the city, one is close. Very happy that we went to the close one because my youngest kid got way too tired and way too hot and freaked out. So I had to calm him down, get him better. And then by the time we got back to air conditioning, he was fine, and then way fine once we got back to air conditioning. But we got to see the zoo, and it's I think I've said this on 2 videos ago or 3 videos ago, but when you go to a zoo, it's an amazing experience to be able to see the animals, and then you also kind of feel a little bit bad because you're seeing them and they're in captivity. I can't talk about how they're treated or anything like that. What I can say is that if you want to go see a zoo here, there are some absolutely beautiful animals there, and you can get closer to them than I've been able to ever get in any of the zoos back home. We even had a lion roar at us, and a couple of us kind of freaked out. I was good because I saw it coming, but a few of us jumped back a bit. It was a lioness, and she was not happy that we were there, so we just kept walking. But yeah, so it was a really cool time. And then between that and going to the beach, the Kokomo Club de Playa was a really cool thing. It's a little kind of boutique hotel that you can buy a day pass in, have a wonderful time there. Really nice place, good beach, and they've got good food, good drinks, very cold beer, actually. And that got the approval of my father, who always has to have very, very cold beer. And they got his approval for beach beer, which I honestly, I honestly can't remember the last time that I had really, really cold beer at the beach, anywhere, let alone here. And they had it. So good job, Kokomo. That's an awesome thing for your reputation, is to say you Rick Howell approved for that. But then we would go, 2 weeks in a row. We did that, and then we went to Crabster on the beach, which is absolutely amazing. Fantastic food. We actually took my in-laws to the Crabster that's located in Merida at a suggestion of one of my viewers here, and that was fantastic as well. Different experience because it's kind of in an outdoor mall type feeling, but same fantastic food. My kid tried oysters and octopus and liked the octopus and not the oysters, which is understandable, but still pretty cool experience. Obviously, great wait staff. Not quite the view that you had on the beach, but still fantastic food, and the wait staff was amazing. But the other places we've gone to, and I can't remember if I mentioned this, if we had gone there yet. I don't think we had, but I know I've talked about this on another video, the like 5 favorite restaurants in Merida video, but the restaurant Museo de la Gastronomía Yucatan or Yucatec, one of those two. We've gone there now twice. We took our family last night, and then we took my parents here last week. And I've got to say, if I missed that on the last video because it was the first 48 hours or something like that, I cannot recommend it highly enough, especially if you have a large group that you're bringing to town. The Museo de la Gastronomia, it's a beautiful place. I mean, we went to it in a rainstorm last night, and then we also sat in it when the weather was perfect last week. And each time it was just fantastic food, great atmosphere, attentive wait staff, beautiful surroundings. And then the reason that the museo part is in there is they actually have kind of it's a long, long hallway where they have all kinds of different stuff, and most of it's in Spanish. I believe all of it's in Spanish, as it should be. But detailing like how certain things were used to cook, way back in the day. And then in the very, very back, they actually have some huts set up that have, at times, people making tortillas and all kinds of different things. But it's just a really cool spot to be able to like have that little out and then to have some amazing food. We ate like pigs there yesterday. I don't regret any of it, but we did. So that was pretty cool. And also, don't forget to like this video if you haven't already. Thank you very much. I'm just going to hit on that every once in a while, not trying to force anybody, but do appreciate when you do. But it's really neat. Like, ever since we've been down here, it's just been a really cool experience. I think the biggest, I'm trying to figure out the right word. I don't want to say it's the biggest drawback. I don't want to say it's the biggest negative because I would never ever say that. The biggest, I guess, hurdle that we've had is that we're down here. It's, started off in July. Now it's August. And one of the things that we've kind of really, I don't want to say not considered, one of the things that we've had to plan around. How about that? One of the things that we've had to plan around in a significant way is our kids are 3 and 6 years old. And it is incredibly hot during the day down here. And they have had a pretty consistent nap time. I shouldn't say pretty consistent. They have had a very consistent nap time since they were born. Outside of like the, up every 2 hours to feed newborn stage, we've had a very consistent bedtime of 8 o'clock every night, 8 p.m. And, no matter how you feel about parenting, that's just what we've had, right? So it's so hot down here during the day, and the sun, like anybody who's been down here knows, the moment the sun touches you, you feel 20 degrees hotter. The moment you get in the shade, that 20 degrees goes away, or at least that's the way that it feels. But we've had to really plan around making sure that, one, we can go out and see all the things that people want to see, but two, also telling people, here are a couple of ideas, go have fun. We're going to stay back because if we go out right now, like our kids are done for the day. They're just tired. And, and we get tired too. We got used to the weather pretty quickly. I'm just kind of used to being sweaty now, but the first few days that you're here, you kind of get hit by it and you can get dragged down by it pretty quick, especially if you're not drinking water. You're thinking like, I'm going to party all day long. It's like, no, you probably should drink some water. You're sweating it out of your system like crazy. But that's just one thing we've had to kind of think about is, when are we going to do this? When are we going to do that? How can we introduce all of these different things to people while also making sure that our kids are as involved as they possibly can be? And I think we found a good balance. For the most part, we kind of have pretty calm mornings. They go down for, either naps or, quiet time or something like that. And then once that's done, we're out the door. So, or we do that stuff in the morning and then we kind of hang out and swim in the afternoon. I will tell you that a pool, if you're looking to invest in Merida and you think that you can get away with not having a pool, you're a braver person than me. Because if you have kids and it's this hot, please, please, please get those kids a pool. But a pool and air conditioning. Just one thing about this house that when I finally do the run through of our Airbnb, that is the one thing about this house that I will say has been fantastic. Is that when we stayed on the house at the beach, we were talking about this the other night. There were 3 bedrooms in the upstairs. There were technically 4 bedrooms in the house, but the fourth was downstairs. And just being honest, nobody wanted to stay there. But there were 3 bedrooms upstairs, and they all had air conditioning, which is amazing. It's the best thing in the world. It's a gift. But the basement or the main floor didn't. It was just a big open room, and then there was a kitchen that was just connected by a door. Now you're right off the beach, so most of the time, all you have to do, and I apologize, guys, I'm like itching my nose like crazy. But most of the time, all that you had to do was just open some of the big windows and let air flow through. The unfortunate thing is that there were several days that we were down there where there was no breeze. Like even north winds coming off the Gulf, as they famously always do, we didn't get any wind some days. And when that happened, we were very fortunate that it was February and March as opposed to May through August because it got hot, 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 hot. The only time that we ever had a real reprieve from that hot was actually when we would. This is going to sound bad and completely energy wasting, and I apologize, but there were a few days where it'd be 97 degrees, no wind outside, and the basement would just be baking. So you had 2 choices. You could either, if you wanted to stay inside, you had 2 choices. You could either close all the windows, turn all the fans on, and try to get some of the cold air from the basement to the main floor, or just stay upstairs. And the unfortunate thing about that was the refrigerators and everything else were not upstairs, they were downstairs. So if you went to work or do something like that, you were always in the bedrooms. If not, you were maybe a little bit unfortunate and suffering and that kind of thing. Most of the time, I just jump in the pool. Seemed like an easy solution, but there were a couple of times where inside got a little heated, and anytime that you get heat plus kids plus adults, it can get a little fun. So air conditioning, put it everywhere if you can. That sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Anyway, getting back to it. Oh, let's see. What else? Oh, suggestion. You guys probably can see the leaves right there. That's a lime tree. We have gone through several limes. I would suggest if you are planning on getting a house, I don't want to say that you need to make, if you're not down here all the time, then you don't obviously want to have a full garden or anything like that. But I would definitely say, based on our experience with this trip, get a couple of lime trees. Like one, if you're Airbnb-ing the place, it's amazing for Coronas or Modelos or a vodka tonic for me. But it's nice to just be able to go out and kind of pick them. They're fresh, they're juicy, they're amazing. Kind of a living garden over here. There's another plant called a mame that produces a fruit. It's brown. It looks like a big potato, but you slice it open and it's pink. And apparently it tastes like a sweet potato, but I'm not going to try it because I don't think fruit potato, just not my thing. But a few other people have tried it and they said it's good. So, but yeah, they've got all kinds of trees over here. It's absolutely amazing. So if you have the space for it, and we're going to do this too, get a lime tree. I personally think get an avocado tree, but get all of them. Have a living garden. Carla, what's going on? Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Yeah, it was it does feel great. It was really, really stressful. Like it's stressful to be anywhere where construction's going on and you're not able to see it. We redid our lake home a few years back because it flooded out. It was really kind of really unfortunate at the time, but now that it's done, it's in the past, whatever. But it was tough not being there the whole time. That was 2.5 hours away. This is an entire day's worth of traveling away. So yeah, the progress feels great. Honestly, one of the best things about it was we had we didn't have any reservations about using the architect that we did, but at the same time, you always have those thoughts in the back of your mind, like it's in a different country. I don't know exactly what's going on. I'm not there. I'm kind of worried. The best thing about this trip was we don't worry at all now. Like we're very confident about where we are. We're very confident about who we're using. So it's been a really, really nice experience to be able to get down here, see the progress, talk to everybody, and know that things are happening so quickly too. You know, it's one thing to see, you know, a home going up and, you know, it seems like it's going a little slow. It's a whole nother thing to be able to be down here for a couple of weeks, go to the house a couple of times and see like, oh yeah, that wall wasn't here yesterday. You know, this you know, pier wasn't here yesterday. This, you know, particular piece of the plumbing wasn't here yesterday. That trench that's not, or the trench that the plumbing is in wasn't here. It's nice to be able to see that not only is there progress being made, but it's being made in real time and very quickly, which is not something I can say for some of the construction sites that I've worked on in the States. I've seen ridiculously efficient, good builders, and I've seen ones that are not. And I'm happy to know that we put our trust in the right hands. So thank you. Yes, it has been fantastic. I really appreciate that. It's nice to be reminded of the fortunate parts, because I think I assume, at least if you're like me, you probably tend to dwell on some of the negatives at times. It's nice to see that the positives are definitely coming through. So yeah, it has been fantastic. Thank you. One thing, speaking of some of the stuff with the houses down here, if you may hear this from some people, and I didn't recognize exactly what it meant until now. And I assume the reason for that is we've either stayed in the Hyatt Regency Hotel, which is located just off Paseo de Mateo, and then we stayed at the house in Waimatune. And both houses had really good water pressure, fantastic water pressure. There were, you know, a couple of slow faucets here or there, but for the most part, like where you needed it, not, you know, bathroom sink, whatever, or, you know, the backs of toilets or something like that, but like kitchen faucet, showers, that kind of thing. They were all really, really good water pressure. The Airbnb that we're staying at now has great water pressure in some of the showers, but for the most part, like the kitchen sink water pressure is really bad. It's been slow the whole time. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily because the kitchen sink just needs to be replaced, but one sink will be good, one sink will be bad. And I was asking our architect about that, and I've heard this is a problem, not just from um, reviews and people on forums, but actually from some of you that have been watching this channel and commenting and emailing me. I was really concerned when we got here and that wasn't working, and we talked to him about it, and I said, I remember, actually I have to give credit where credit's due. My wife was the one that remembered that we had talked about this with Henry before. And so in the first house that we saw, the one that the people are going to see it on August 12th, he showed us exactly kind of what their, you know, system is, because they had just installed it. And it was the water heater, which isn't the biggest issue down here, outside maybe the dishwasher. And obviously showering and stuff, but honestly, it's so hot here that I normally take a fairly mild shower. But anyway, you know, the pressure system, the, you know, filtration system. It was nice to see that. And so they have a filtration system, and then the system that kind of pushes the water to the pressure system. And he showed us all of that, and I thought that was awesome to see. And then he said that we're doing a reverse osmosis system that will be at the kitchen sink, and it will also be at the refrigerator for the ice maker and that kind of thing. So that was something that, one, we'd already discussed. We knew we were going to put in the house, but the difference between what we have right now in this Airbnb and what we're going to have was, that probably took a huge weight off my shoulders, just because that was something I was concerned about. That was something that I obviously wanted to have, but you never know until you have to deal without it. So make sure that you think about that too. Water pressure, all the systems, make sure that if you want clean water throughout the house, you're going to have to get a very different system. Based on my experience with our lake home, much more expensive, but, you know, a more expensive system that works for the entire house. Or you can do what they did, which is basically have a small, like a large filtration system that kind of helps the water stay cleaner, so you don't get as much lime and calcium, so you have to clean in a strange way. And then also get a secondary system for the areas where you're going to want to pour water into, that's a filtration system that's going to allow you to drink from it. Because obviously we're in Mexico, and the water is famously not as easily drinkable as some other areas. So again, just something to think about. It's one thing that I'm very, very happy that we are doing. It's something that, even though it's an expense, you're going to be here for such a long period of time. It's like, just do it and do it right, right? Cool. That was a long conversation, a long tangent to say get a water pressure and filtration system, but you know, line of thought. And also, I'm a crazy person apparently. The unfortunate thing about the lime tree is that I see a couple of limes, but I can't reach them. And it's not because I'm short, I'm 5'11, but I'd have to have a very, very tall person stand on my shoulders to be able to get to them. There've been three that are in just an impossible to reach location. So another thing to think about, especially if you're Airbnb or living, make sure if you do have a large lime tree, get something where you can saw them off or pick them off from a distance. It helps. Because that would be really nice to be able to grab them at this point. Yep. The house that we're staying at, it's really interesting. And again, I can't wait for the Airbnb video to come out. I'm hoping that I can film it like the night before we leave, and then I'll just do the commentary when I get back to the city. But it's really interesting because knowing our house now, this house is wider, but it's nowhere near as long, but it's very, very well set up. The the problem is with one part is that they put bedrooms at the very front of the house, um, which seems fine. But when you have traffic, it's super loud. And right now, you know, I don't want to say it's fortunate that we have, or that there's a curfew down here because the curfew is something like 11:30 to 5 a.m. So it is unfortunate that there's a curfew for obvious reasons, but at the same time, we're kind of taking advantage of it because our bedrooms on that side, before we moved up with the family, we're having our friends stay over on that side now. Um, they had enough family. We're not just like forcing them to live in a hovel or anything. They had family, and they're kind of able to take their family and have a unit over there, and then our family's in a unit over here. But over there, you can hear traffic like crazy. And we stayed there for the first 2 weeks that we were down here, and it's a super beautiful area, but it's really loud at times. So the curfew has done one positive thing for us, and that is 11:30 to 5 a.m. As long as you're asleep, you won't hear anything but cabs down here or emergency services, which if it's an emergency service, it is what it is, right? Bella, awesome. You got the wolf symbol. Thank you so much for being a traveler and a voyager. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well, Bella. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy. I think you've been a member for 3 months now. That's awesome, and thank you very much for that. I really, really appreciate you being that. For those of you who don't know, if you do want to be a traveler or a voyager to the channel, all you have to do is go to the main channel, click join, and you can sign up for one of those two. It's not necessary. You can obviously get these videos for free. I am, especially down here, creating a lot of content so that I can have stuff that is just for the people that join the channel as members. But for the most part, obviously these videos, the live streams and chats, they are, at least at this point, for everybody. So, but again, Bella, glad to see you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. When are you planning your move? I guess a timeline, ideas, places that you want to be, stay. Are you going to rent, own, buy? Own and buy are the same thing, I guess. Now I'm thinking about it. But yeah, next 2 to 3 years, fantastic. Hey, if you take our timeline where you buy the house and then it should be done 2 years to the day that you purchase it later, you might be shopping right now. So, but you can always rent. That's kind of what we're thinking too. We have decided that in retirement, we have a lake home that we're never going to sell. It's on 28 acres, Lake of the Ozarks. It's renovated. It's beautiful. We have all kinds of land. We're actually trying to convince my parents to build on the property, and I pray that they do because it'd be very nice for them in retirement as well. But that will always be kind of like that's home. Missouri is always home. The lake has always been kind of a home for me. It's we moved there. My parents bought a house close to us in 2001. We purchased in '09 or 10, I think '09, and then no, yeah, '09, and then we bought this place a few years after that. But just perfect location, lots of friends. So we'll definitely be probably there in the summer, and then spend, knowing the months here, we'll probably be here something like September to April and then May to August there. So I I I love this place. I love Merida, but there's something about that place at Lake of the Ozarks that my blood pressure just goes down. Similar to here, honestly. You know, everything's I want to say everything's slow, but it's definitely positive. So what we got here? Understood. FT Grim, what's going on? And I love the thumbs up, Bella. Thank you. And by the way, my computer screen is down here, so if I'm looking down here, I'm reading the chat. I'm not trying to ignore the camera. And you're a fan of my city and state. Hope you enjoy your time here. As a recommendation, you can visit Las Caradas, beautiful place with pink water. I have thought about that the entire time we've been down here. So, and I hope I'm pronouncing this Las Coloradas. I hope that's right. If it's not, I apologize. Um, I keep seeing that place constantly, and we absolutely do. And actually, we keep looking at going to some of the ruins. We've had my niece and then the friends of ours that are down here right now. They've actually visited the ruins in Chichen Itza and loved it. And there are some ruins around here too, just I believe south of, well, it'd have to be south. It wouldn't be north, but south of Telchac Plateau that we want to go to as well. And it's literally one of those things that, like I was saying earlier, the heat just kind of is it's difficult for us, let alone having the little ones around. So it'll be nice next time we come down to hopefully be down here for, you know, in and around a week so that we can work on the house, but also go kind of do some of these other tours that we've been wanting to do for quite some time. It just makes it easier when it's just me and my wife as opposed to either a bunch of people or two little ones that get a little sad when they don't get their naps and they're in the heat. And I do enjoy your city and your state, so thank you very much. And also, I don't know, FT Grim, if you're the kind of person that follows the baseball team around here, but if you can direct me to a place where I can buy a hat for the, I believe it's the Leones, the Lions, please tell me. And I really want to get a hat before I leave because it's baseball and I grew up playing it, and there's a local team here, so I'm happy to support it. Absolutely love it. What's going on? You have a place in Alberta, Tiny Dan. I bought a little travel. That's fantastic. Yep, it sounds like you're pretty much on our level too. You're when so you're in Vancouver on Vancouver Island. Yeah, so I mean, whatever you have home, right? I mean, we one of the first places that I've ever been to that I felt like, oh, this is a place that I could easily live, and for quite some time was we went to Italy and we visited the town in Tuscany, that's Siena, and fell in love with it the first minute that we got there, and every moment that we were there, I just kept traveling and enjoying it. And that was the place where I was like, yep, I could live here. Unfortunately, Siena is, you know, 8 hours away. No, more than that, 10 and a half hours away by flight when you take all the flights together. So that really wasn't possible. But when we traveled to Merida, the positive thing was that I found like I had the exact same feeling. You know, it was this is a place where I can spend a lot of time. This is a place where I definitely want to end up long term. But I can't get rid of Missouri. I'm a Kansas City boy through and through. So Lake of the Ozarks is close enough to Kansas City to make it a part of it in general or anyway. So we're good to go. You always have home, but that doesn't mean that you can't love another place as well. A little behind my status. You got everything you need. You got a travel trailer, you got a place to stay, and you're going to be in Merida before too long. But the house in, you know, the house in, I about said Vancouver, the house in Alberta, it's tiny down now, but 2 to 3 years, not so much. You're going to be good to go. No problem at all, Bella. Tim, we definitely should. I saw that they were on TV the other day, and I got frustrated because I didn't think of it ahead of time. I can't remember who they were playing, if they were playing the team at Tabasco or whatever, but it was nice to be able to say, like, I now have a home team, so I'm excited about that. The next thing that I have to do is figure out how to get them streaming so that I can watch them in the States too. So I need to work on that or have somebody tell me how to do that. So, Bella, I'm ex-military. Thank you for your service. You're in Canada, but thank you for your service. Rhode Island is the rest of my family. The moment I walked into Mexico, there you go. See? That's all you got to do. The moment that you find a place where you know that you can be long term, the moment that you find a place that makes you happy, that's what you have to pursue. You know, I like the idea of home is where the heart is, but it also is home is just home. You know, just when I don't know if this is something that I should compare it to, but Like with Kansas City, it's weird because you are so for the place that you're from. It's like Kansas City Royals, Kansas City Chiefs, Sporting KC, even though they're a newer franchise. Like being a part of that city will always, always, always be here and here. But man, you also find places that have palm trees, and it's really difficult to say that you don't want to be there a lot too. So you never know what the future holds, but at the same time, when you find a place that you love and that you want to be, and you want to be there, you're golden. Thank you, FT Grim. Now I know where to go. Appreciate it. The Plaza Gallerias. I apologize. This is too important to pass up. I need to look up exactly where I'm going to get this hat. I wear hats every day in the morning because I have the craziest. I would cuss now, but I try to make sure that this channel is monetized correctly. But I have the craziest hair ever. I just get, like, it goes from this to wherever it decides to go that day. My oldest son inherited that trait. And I have to wear a hat every morning until I shower. So when I go to work out, hat. When I just need to get up and get a cup of coffee, hat. Nobody needs to see me look like that. It's crazy. Oh, yeah, you've got the Canucks. That's right. And you can like the Canucks. The best thing in the entire world that has happened for sports is the ability to stream it. And the best thing for streaming is the ability to have a VPN so that you can say that you're in the United States even if you're in Merida. And I definitely haven't used that several times for PBS down here. Please don't report me to the government. Although I don't know how they could catch me, outside of the fact that I have a YouTube channel that is live where I'm explaining exactly how I get away with it. Fun. Let's see. David, I see that you said you're having audio issues. I think I've got everything lined up. The problem is that the mic that I'm using, I'll show it to you. This guy, I've got it down here, and so it just has to go all the way up. So I would say if you're listening to me, it's probably a little bit low. This is what I record most of my stuff on before I edit it. The microphone that I actually have right by the camera up here was not working very well for the last couple of videos. So I transitioned to this. So if you go up, you're good. I normally finish that in processing, but since it's streaming, it sometimes can get a little low. So I need to find a solution for that. I am an adult that has some technical ability, but for now, I apologize if it's a little low for you. It should be on mono. It should be working out fine, but that might be one thing. Oilers, yeah, all good. On time, love, hate thing. I agree. I actually use NordVPN. I used to have a link in the description that gave you like a few months off, but I don't think it wasn't working for people, so I took it off. I don't want to do that, but I still use NordVPN, and it's worked out actually fantastic. And the positive is that I think you can purchase the license for what seems like almost nothing, and I think I had the ability to install it on something like 7 devices for whatever price that I purchased it at, and it seems to work great. So I'm not 100% sure that it works for everything, but for Netflix on my computer, for PBS, for a few other things, I mean, it's worked great. So we've been down here. I've had to install it on, you know, my iPad, other things where if like a kid wants to play a video or something like that, I'll hand him the iPad and he's fine. But yeah, it's been pretty good for us so far. So NordVPN, there you go. David and Tim know each other. That's awesome. For 4 years. That's fair enough. I think there's a love-hate thing with everything. Just ask me in my birthday is February 7th. Ask me about Kansas City in February outside of my birthday, though, and you will hear probably a few words that I shouldn't use because it gets like I'm talking to somebody from Canada, but the love-hate thing is definitely there when it's -5 degrees outside and snowing. So you probably have something like -30 there. We don't, but I'm glad we don't either. But I still don't like it. It's 95 degrees here and I'm in the shade, so I feel fantastic, but I am sweating a little bit and I'm fine with it. And I was even fine with it when when it was February. And also for those of you who are just logging on, and I hate doing this, but if you don't mind, please liking this video. It helps to get it out to more people, and that's all I'm going to say about it. But please like the video. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let's see. What else do we have? Internet. Okay, this is one thing I want to talk about. If there's no questions right now. We only had a week or two negative 30. I like that your comment was, we only had a week or two of negative 30. That's terrifying. We have negative 5 and I freak out. Glad I can park the car inside though. But glad you didn't have as much snow. That's fair. You don't go much out in the winter? I don't think many people go out in the summer here, so I think it's pretty even. As long as you're here in the winter and there in the summer, you should be good to go. But what was I going to say? Oh, the internet here. So we were having a couple of issues uploading and downloading, or I should say I was having some issues uploading something. The downloading speeds have actually been fine here, but I did a speed test. And when I did the speed test, it was about 50 megabits per second download speeds, which is what a little bit better than we get at our lake house internet, which is kind of like a cellular repeating internet. But when I went to upload, which normally, for whatever reason, our upload speeds are higher in the States, or at least they have been for where I am, the upload speed went to 2. So the last video that I uploaded that was not very long, but it was shot in, the video was shot in 4K. Mine was probably 1080 FPS, which is what this Logitech Brio records in. That was crazy slow. I think it was an hour and a half to 2.5 hours, depending on when it decided to work right. But one of the things that I've talked about in other videos is that I've seen internet providers down here advertise that they have 500 megabit per second internet. And look, not that it's the most important thing in the world, not that it's something that I think everybody absolutely needs to have. But one thing that I would say is if you're an Airbnb, and especially if you're trying to get a place that's super nice and you're trying to rent it or something like that, I would really suggest maybe biting the bullet. And if there is a place down here that has that high-speed internet, like really high-speed internet, especially upload, that's going to be a significant improvement on what we're experiencing here. On top of that, one thing that I have been talking with our architect about is how to run Cat6 line so that we actually have direct port internet so that we can get the fastest speeds possible outside of Wi-Fi. Because Wi-Fi is good. It's obviously functional. I'm streaming here. There's been no problem. At least I don't think so. But the better the internet you have, the more somebody like me is going to be able to work here. My wife is, she has to, her law firm is set up so that she has to remote into a server that has to remote into a different place, and then it comes back to her. If that internet slows, it can kind of kill it. And we actually had to deal with something like that today where it was really difficult to kind of figure it out. Once we figured it out, done. But just go with higher internet. It's always better. And the difference between the prices that I saw between 50 and 500 were not significant. It was expensive to just get to 50, but once you got to 500, it was, not too much over one night in your house, and they're going to pay for that for the whole month. So just a thought. Maybe it's a crazy thought, but maybe I'm just jealous that other people have it right now, but just a thought. Let's see. I'm going to go back on a couple of messages. Apologies, guys. Exactly. -20. Here's your ISP. Did you install the Cat6 and the... So I can't remember the ISP. We don't have the house done yet, so I don't have an ISP yet. The Cat6 will be installed in 3 different points throughout the house. So for those of you who know, the house that we have, and this is David's question, by the way, the way that the house is set up is there's kind of a main house, the master, and then the upstairs. The upstairs is going to be, at least at this point, and I might change this. We're still in a situation where I can change a lot. But the upstairs will just be Wi-Fi because that's an apartment. That's where, our parents are going to stay, stuff like that. But for the actual house, I wanted to have in our media room, the Cat6, and most of it will be right there. And then a repeater somewhere probably in the kitchen. And then Cat6 line run all the way into the master so that it has a direct feed to either the initial unit or through what's called a node for a Linksys system. So it'll be a mesh network that'll work out well, but I want to have everything kind of connect to each other. So Cat6 will be run throughout the whole main floor of the house, with the apartment probably being Wi-Fi. That being said, I go back and forth about how I want to set this thing up. And I think I'm probably going to go back and overdo it and just have a lot of Cat 6 lines run everywhere, since it is in concrete and it's a lot more difficult to fix that problem. Um, but I'm redesigning it in my head, and then I'm going to submit it to Henry and have that done. So it's one of those things that, to answer your question, yes, it will be run throughout the house. I'll have to look up the ISP to figure out exactly the one that I found. But whatever ISP has the highest rate, that's the highest, hopefully the highest rate for um, gigabit. I think it was half gigabit that I found, but hopefully they don't have the highest rate, but I'm sure they probably do, because it's expensive. Let's see. I'm trying to go back to answer your questions, guys. Apologies. Cantina crawl sounds like fun, but maybe only 3 places so we can enjoy each a bit more. 4 or 5 is a lot of walking, not so much drinking. I do agree with that. You find 3 good places, you do a cantina crawl, you're good to go. But you have to warn them that you're coming if you have a big enough group. So we'll have to figure that out. My suggest is Mescaleria Acebo. Best hot dogs ever are a bonus. Nice. Good job. I like it. If you're gonna drink a lot, you need a little bit of food, Tim. So I think you're onto it. Using house hunting was to check a local Wi-Fi connections on my phone. That's a good idea. So Tim, great. So I'm just gonna read your entire message because I think that's a great point. Tim said, one trick I used when house hunting was to check local Wi-Fi connections on my phone to see who everyone else in the neighborhood was using. I think that's an excellent point. And honestly, just go door knock if you're not going to disturb anybody and just say, who are you using? I think that's a fantastic idea. In the city, we were going to go with Google Fiber. We'd had them in the past. They have really good services, but I have AT&T here, at the time actually I had Verizon, but I wanted to switch back to AT&T. Grass was greener on the other side, and AT&T, is bad as they are in some areas, we're good in that regard. But when I switched back to AT&T, they had gigabit internet, and they were able to give me a good plan for my phone. So one thing led to another. Saved money, still got gigabit internet, and I've been happy with it ever since. So, but good plan. I like that idea. Certainly concerned, but it does help on informed decision as some ISPs do not perform in neighborhoods. Yep, totally agree. Totally agree. And not use the most popular one in term means everyone trying to get the same. Yep, I think for anybody that's watching this later, but especially if we're watching now, Tim and David are having a good conversation with regard to trying to figure out the ISP and how much speed you can get through it. The idea between, if you go with the one that everybody has and it's a great service, then they might have slow speeds at times because you're online with a bunch of other people. At the same time, you want to find the one that's not the highest rate and absolutely ridiculous. So those are really good points, guys. Thank you. Yeah, my biggest thing is just, when you've got upload speeds of 2 as opposed to, download speeds of 50, it's like that means that you can get Netflix, you can download everything that you want to, pictures, that kind of stuff. But with what I do, it's stuff like this, the upload speed is just as important as the download speed, right? So I want to make sure that if somebody promises you half a gig, download speeds, it's like, that's fantastic. What are your upload speeds? And if they say 502, I'm not going to be near as impressed. I'm going to be much happier to spend a little bit more money every month and actually be able to advertise it to people who are coming down here to have those services. If they're renting the house, that will be a big positive for us. So, sorry, I have a rather large blackbird running amok in a tree. Sorry, got distracted for a second. Anyway, that's where we are. That's where we are. Let's see. Look back at some of the messages here. Thank you all for joining us. Really appreciate everybody that's here. Again, if you have the chance, please hit the like button. Helps it get out to everybody. Much appreciated. Thanks again. I don't know if you guys, how many of you all follow me on Instagram or if you're even on Instagram, but I posted a ton of pictures from our travels at Alexander from KC. The link is down in the description below. But taking some good videos, some good pictures. It's been really fun to kind of like it's been really nice to just have a place to bring everybody down. And one of the things that's been fantastic about this trip is that we've had, what would it be? 2, 4, 6, 10 people come down in the 3 weeks. And I feel like the positive is, and again, this is why we continue to look, or why we're happy that we chose Merida, and why we continue to look for a place in Mexico is it's a really nice place to be able to say, hey, you don't have to travel across the sea to come see us in retirement like Sienna would have been in Italy, but it's actually just, I think we left at our flight took off at 11:30, or should have taken off at 11:30, and would have gotten in about 10:30 at night. It's a half a day's worth of travel. No, it was 2:30 to 11:30, something like that. It wasn't a whole day. We had the morning and then flew in the afternoon. But we had a half day's worth of travel, and then we're here. And especially with what you can get, it's been absolutely amazing. And I think I talked about this in the first video, but maybe I missed it. There's a place what would that be? Just south of us. It's 3 houses, 3 doors south of us, that we had an entire plate of food, all kinds of stuff, hamburgers, French fries. I know. But then nachos and tacos, and it was a heavy meal. It could have fed me for a day, easy. And it was $6 total. So it's not just about being down here and having these like beautiful houses and the locations and that kind of thing. The thing that I try to say is be responsible when you're down here and understand that there are reasons that things are inexpensive, and you need to understand that too. But when you can buy stuff that's that cheap, there's a reason that people come down here in retirement, because their dollar carries a lot more weight. So something to think about, and probably something that everybody watching this knows. Let's see. Is he know anyone living off the grid in the area? I don't know anyone living off the grid in the area. I know that there are solar panels as far as the eye can see. So, and I know that that's a lot. That has a lot to do with the fact that energy prices are ridiculous down here. I mean, we're planning on putting solar panels in. I did see something that CFE was starting to throw up some issues with regard to installing solar panels. So I hope we get in under that. But for the most part, that's what I see. When you drive up that main highway to Progresso 2, you see a ton of wind turbines. So while no, I don't see or know anybody that's off the grid, you can at least kind of kill your imprint on it as much as possible. I hope that makes sense. I think you do get acclimated here. My husband just pointed out that I'm in the room without the ceiling fan or AC watching your video. Carla, you have achieved something that so few people, I think, can. I can't yet. I know that there were a couple of days on the beach where the wind was coming in, where we could open up the doors and kind of have it, and it was like, yeah, I can do without air conditioning and fans. I'm totally fine with this cool air blowing off the sea right onto me. But on a day like this, where I'm sitting here, I have the fans on just above my head, and I'm under shade. I'm in the shade, and it's 90 something outside. I'm fine. I'm good to go. But sitting inside like that might be, that's I think you're going full Yucatan. That's fantastic. My circle of friends, newcomers, probably a subset of your circle. See the cost video. Electrical, in my opinion, isn't that much. Tim? Yep, Tim, that might be a good question for you to answer. Like I said, I've heard that electric is kind of costly down here. That's why a lot of people go into it, but you might have a better answer for me, having been down here in your place for a bit. And again, it's all relative. If you're talking about prices in the States versus down here, real estate down here seems really, really inexpensive compared to stuff down up there. So, or in Canada or wherever it might be. I mean, I was looking through real estate the other day, and there was a place that it wasn't new, but it looked brand new. And it was granite. It was in the northern area, Norte, and beautiful place, granite, travertine floors, that kind of thing. And it was $130,000 for a 3-bedroom, 3.5-bath house. So with a tiny splash pool. So again, some things are more affordable, some things are less. I know that one thing I was really concerned about, we went to Walmart and checked out TV prices. I was really concerned because everybody said, well, TVs are ridiculously expensive. We found a really nice 55-inch TV. It was like $750. Could we get it cheaper in the US? Yes. Was it a ridiculous cost? Absolutely not. So it kind of goes back and forth. And that's fair. Let's see where I'm at here, guys. Apologies. I am probably going to have to kick off here before too long. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm probably stay on here for another 10 minutes or so just to make sure that everybody gets their questions in and that kind of thing. And Bella, I just want to say again, thank you so much for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the Stark symbol from Game of Thrones as your badge of honor for being a part of the channel for so long. That's very much appreciated. I hope it is for you. I'm a huge fan of Game of Thrones. I'm a nerd, so if you have any questions about that, also ask. You too. Thank you so much. All right, guys, I'm kind of getting the look, so I think I'm going to sign off here. Thank you all so much for watching this. Really appreciate you guys being live on here. And anytime that you guys want to contact me, always feel free to email me at actually just go to my website alexanderhowell.com, hit the contact us page. All that does is send me an email directly. Follow me on Instagram at alexanderfromkc or text me directly 816-727-7740. Follow me on any of the social media links that you see in the other videos, and obviously like this video and subscribe to the channel. Hit the little notification bell, and if you want to join it as Bella did, please feel free to just go to the main channel, hit join, become a traveler or voyager. It obviously helps the channel, and I really appreciate it. I'm going to sign off here. Thank you so much again to all of you. Oh, Carla said, have you ever heard of Blend Fin? Good time to buy stuff like TVs. I haven't, but I know that I shouldn't say I haven't. I haven't heard that term, but our architect is looking to buy us appliances. We have to buy appliances for basically our laundry room and then 2 kitchens based on our layout. So he is looking at several sales, I assume like that are going to be a part of our purchasing of those things. So yeah, I appreciate that. I'll point that out to him. I'm sure he's heard of it, but I'll point it out just because the better deal that we can get, the happier that I am, because we're buying a lot of stuff. So thank you so much, Carla. I appreciate it. But yeah, I can't remember where I left off there. I wanted to answer Carla's question, but again, please feel free to like, subscribe, all that stuff. Hit the join button on the main page. Become a traveler or voyager. Always helps everything. And hopefully I'll get one more of these live streams done this coming week. That way you guys can tune in. I'm going to try to figure out a way to kind of get this out so that everybody knows that I'm about to go live. But if not, it always shows up when you hit that notification bell. But again, guys, thank you so much. And as always, peace. And now I'm going to go over here awkwardly and end the stream.